Hey kids, now we're cooking.
Welcome to our third episode during our week involving farmers market here in Iowa, which is a very fun week. Actually, we could have been doing it for several weeks, but this is the week we put it on the show. My name is Annie.
And I'm Grandma Jayne.
Hopefully you live in an area somewhere in this country or the world that you have markets that are fresh all the time. If not, we really celebrate this time of year for us here in the summers here in Iowa and different times of the summer where things become full grown or ripe that we can enjoy them. Our first episode, if you recall, we made a BLT because our tomatoes are nice and ripe and sweet and juicy right now. They're really good for BLTs, which is a bacon lettuce tomato sandwich. Our next episode, Jane started us off by teaching us how to husk an ear of sweet corn. Okay, and then she was teaching us how to steam it as opposed to boiling it in a big pot of boiling water. We put that into her Dutch oven with just enough water to cover her
steamer basket.
Steamer basket.
Under the steamer basket.
Yeah, just
Not
up to
above.
it.
Up to
Yeah.
the steamer basket. I stand corrected. I thought she meant up,
That's okay.
covering the steamer basket. Okay, then she put it on.
I had
temp?
it on high, and then once it started boiling, just shut the lid and 6 minutes, excuse me.
Okay, so kind of like eggs in terms
Yeah.
of once it starts to boil, turn it off, and you had your lid on the whole time.
Yes.
Okay, so now 6 minutes is hit. After you boiled, you turned off the stove,
Mhm.
and so did you just keep peeking to see if
No,
the water was
I
boiling?
never peeked. I just did just now when I shut it off. But
Well, what I'm saying is, if you leave the lid on the whole time, how do you know when the water's boiling?
Well, you can
No,
just
you
wait
can-
until the water's
you
boiling.
can hear it boiling.
I just want to
Yeah.
make sure the kids know.
Yeah,
So
sure.
you just put the lid on after the water starts to boil. Put the lid on.
Or you can put it on even before, but just listen for it to boil.
Okay, and then turn off your stove.
But
and
it's steam, so be careful. It is hot. It'll burn you.
and let it set for 6 minutes with the lid on.
Yep.
Okay.
And then turn it off and take it out with a tong or something because it's very, very hot steam coming out of there.
Oh, you can see the steam.
And then
And then tell the kids how a lot of people eat then sweet corn. Do they eat it plain?
you can eat it plain, but I like it buttered with a little salt and sea salt and pepper. And I usually use just toothpicks on the ends for little holders. I used to have fancy holders. I don't know what happened to them. Just use toothpicks, you know.
Yeah, a lot of your households, kids have them, or if you don't, you'll see them other places in stores. Again, you might want to buy some for your parents or your guardians or your caregivers if you ever want to. But they've got, sometimes they look like corn on the cobs, or they have fancier ones, but they stick then on the ends for you to hold then.
A lot of times they'll screw in.
And you'll either jam them in or you'll screw them in, but they help you then hold the corn without holding the hot corn.
Yeah, and you can also cut it off with a sharp knife or electric knife, or if you want to eat it that way without the cob.
Okay.
You can do that and freeze it or whatever. I was reading that only 1% of the corn raised in Iowa is sweet corn. All the rest goes for field corn, for fuel, for food, for animals or whatever, different products. So,
1%.
Yeah,
That must have been what
1%.
Josh was talking about. His plant's completely covered in around corn.
Mhm.
And he was talking to one of his coworkers, and they're like, "Oh, you don't want to eat this corn." He's like, "Isn't all corn the same? So I must have been
Yeah,
that corn around
Yep.
there must be the
Yep.
other corn."
that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, we were trying to tell them there's special corn that's sweet corn, but we didn't have any stats like you
Yeah,
gave us
we
for
didn't
sure.
get it.
But that's an easy way to do it. Doesn't take very long and it's delicious. It really is.
Wonderful. And we
Tender
want to
and good.
remember again, Aunt Grandma Jane told you to use tongs to pull them out of the water.
Mhm.
Okay, now tell us a little bit more about the freezing part.
Well, there's different processes and recipes for that, and I've frozen before. Sometimes you cook it all up first and then let it cool and put it into bags into the freezer. And there's times when you don't have to cook it at all, and you put it into the bags with different seasonings or butter and everything, and freeze it that way. Just the way that you learn how to do it or get a recipe for it.
Now, when you say put it in freezer bags, is that the cut off corn off the cob or the cobs after they've been cooked?
Be the cut off
Okay.
corn.
Could a person freeze those and just warm them
Good
up?
question.
I don't know if
I don't
would.
know. I don't know. You'd have to try it. You could always stick that in the freezer and see if it came out okay. You could microwave it or whatever after you get it out.
But at least for now, the only ones we know for sure you can do is the cut off corn.
Yeah.
Put it into freezer bags and stick it in the freezer and it'll come out just fine. You then just put it in the microwave then to warm it up, correct?
Yes, But look at that delicious corn. Get up close.
Yummers.
Beautiful. beautiful.
Very good. So while they maybe take a bite or two of it, I'm going to start us on a couple of different cucumber salads. Now, a lot of times when people make cucumbers out there, because again, this is a very popular thing in the summer, a lot of times what happens is people will either make the cucumber salad either creamy in a creamy sauce, or a lot of times we see it with onions and like a vinegary sauce. So I'm going to make them both because basically you use the same stuff for both of them except for the actual salad. So I've already washed these cucumbers. Now something I read said that a lot of times if you use English cucumbers, they have a nicer flavor for this sort of thing. But obviously because I'm from Iowa and I want to use farmers market stuff, I didn't worry about that. I'm just using good farmers market cucumbers. Now you're going to want to slice these as thinly as you can, or if you're skilled, put them on a mandolin.
Are those purples? Or you said, what are they?
They're just cucumbers.
Because they don't hardly have any seeds.
They do look seedless.
Yeah.
Isn't there some cucumbers you have to peel too? Because the peel's like, I forget what they.
Like
Oh,
not
Mom.
healthy to eat?
Yeah, I thought Mom was
I don't
telling me
know.
about one of those. She said there's certain kinds that, because I asked, because I was gonna make some with
I'll
cucumbers.
have to
one
look
time.
that up and, yeah, like.
Well,
I might be thinking of something else, but
This first cucumber, I'm not going to do anything special to it. I'm not even going to peel it. Now, a lot of places want you to peel, completely peel the skin off. And we can do that.
or you can make them pretty and peel like.
The
your-
next one I'm going to make
Mhm.
pretty. Yep.
And just peel
Mhm.
every so
Like
often.
every other.
Yeah.
Yep, that's what I'm going to do in the next one. Megan already knew, kind of read my mind. But the one that's slathered in cream sauce, I'm not going to worry about it so much because you can't really see the cucumbers as well in a creamy sauce.
I think I prefer it peeled, just because most of my life that's how I've eaten them. They've always been peeled. So you know how that kind of sticks in your
Mhm.
head. But as long as you got a good one to eat, it's okay.
Well, yeah, sometimes the peel can be tough depending on. I don't know if it's the kind. I don't know anything about cucumbers, but
I looked up chai tea too the other day from last episode, and that's like a black tea, and it's mixed in and there's cinnamon and milk and stuff in it. I have tried it before. We were talking about teas, you know.
Now, Jane, do you like the creamy better or the vinegary better?
I've had the vinegar most of my life, but I can't say I don't like the creamy. It just doesn't get made that much.
Okay, if
I do
I
like
send the creamy home with you, would you prefer to have nice yellow onion or red onion in it?
Probably yellow.
Okay,
Yeah.
because kids, you can use, in this particular recipe, you can use green onion or white onion or yellow onion. Or I was going to use red because, not only because it's my preference, but because I love the color.
Mhm.
But I'm going to send this home with Jane. So I'm going to put yellow in because that's what she prefers. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to use the big bowl for this one. So I've cut the cucumber nice and thin. And now I'd rather have my onions be more like, see, like pieces like this.
Mhm.
This is one I don't want to have diced.
julienne, isn't that what's
Right.
Is that what
Yeah, sort of julienne. Yeah. it was
Sort of,
good.
yep.
Kind
This
of.
one we want
Yeah.
pieces like this. So, like I would take a slice like this and either put in the whole slice so it's a ring, or I would cut it in half. You see?
Mhm.
So we don't want diced stuff in this one. Rings or half rings, if you will. Okay? Now, if you use green onion, they suggest 2. If you love onion, you might want to put in 3 or 4 green. start with one like yellow or white. If it doesn't look like it's enough for your taste, put in another one or part of another one. Again, this is another one you can't really screw up because it's how you want it. All right? See these rings? And if they look like they're too fat, I'm just going to cut them in half.
Mom always made like that, but I never really watched how she did the onions. But it always was always delicious, good, perfect. And she'd have pepper on top and stuff.
Now what's interesting is when I looked up different people's way to do the cream sauce, you know what's funny, kids? Some people actually use our concoction of just salad dressing or mayo, whichever you prefer, milk and sugar. Just like we've done in umpteen of our salads.
Yeah, is there any like sour cream in some of them?
That's what we're gonna do.
Okay.
Yep. So because you can do that other way, I thought, well, our kids already know that, so I'm not gonna do it that way. We're gonna do it.
Vinegar way?
We're gonna no, as far as the creamy one.
Oh, okay.
Because we're starting with the creamy one, and I thought, well, our kids already know how to do the mayonnaise, sugar with some milk, or salad dressing, sugar and some milk.
Your basic.
Our kids already know that. If some people, that's what they put in this, kids.
I used to like that on salads. Didn't I? Do you still eat it? I forget about it sometimes.
Now you're supposed to let that stand just for a little bit after you put on. I need some sugar, or I mean some salt rather.
Okay.
And then I'm going to put 2 tablespoons of sugar in here. Thank you. It just wants 1 teaspoon of salt. And 2 tablespoons of sugar. Okay, and I'm going to mix that up just a little bit. And I'm going to let it stand. Just let it be. Let those flavors kind of get to know one another. Now this is for our creamy one. Now I'm going to start working on our vinegary one. Okay. Again, I'm going to cut up a cucumber, thinly slice them. Only because Jane has a perfect knife for this. And when I say thin, I mean like 1/8 of an inch if you can. No more than 1/4 of an inch. Okay, just like that. But because I want this one to be fancy, I want to show you that you're going to peel it. Like every 1/4 of an inch you're going to peel. See how when you just do it every so often, then when you cut it, you see they almost look like poker chips.
Oh, neat. That's cute.
Like you find at a casino or somewhere.
That's fancy.
See? They're like little poker chips.
I like that. I like it.
They're just fun. And that's why they're really fun to serve like with dips. Because they're out there really where people can see them. And that's why I wanted something fancier with the vinegary one, because that's a clearer dressing. So you really can see them better than probably this creamy one's gonna be. There she went down. We've got a cucumber down in aisle 4. Jane, do you want to peel a little bit more of that cucumber for me? Just to give everybody something to do. And what I'm going to do in this one, you know me, because I love red onion. Kids. I'm going to cut the stem off a red onion. And take some of these layers of skin off, so I get down to the good onion. Because I like the color too, not only the flavor of the red, but I love the color. You can see how pretty this is going to be. So when you cut that onion in half, what I did was cut it in half between the stem and the root, okay? Then look at how nice. I've got these ringlets now, or these rings. Woohoo, Mountain Dew.
You just kind of take apart the onion after you
Just
cut
take
it.
apart the onion. Thank you. I love it. It's just almost like science and art.
Yeah.
And these just look like
I like the peeled ones like that.
our friends John and Chris always
You
do this like when you do have a antipasto tray or an appetizer tray with vegetables or a vegetable tray with dip. They always do that peel like that. I'll throw in some
like
of these
it.
others that I
Just looks
cut
fancy.
first. Just, yeah, it just looks like a little bit more
Decorative or
decorative, and it doesn't take anything to do it. It's
Right.
no big deal. Now you can eat these room temp, kids, but you're gonna wanna chill them. I mean, you can, nothing's gonna hurt you. But if you really want the flavors to really combine and really get together, you're gonna wanna let them chill and refrigerate and stand together, okay? All right. How are we looking at onion there?
It looks
Probably
good.
plenty for what's in there for cucumber.
Yeah.
So
I
we've
don't
still
know.
got the cucumbers with the yellow onions sitting here with a teaspoon of sugar and a couple of tablespoons, or excuse me, teaspoon of salt and a couple tablespoons of sugar here standing.
Okay.
This is going to be our cream-based one, okay? So in this one, again, it asks for 4 cucumbers, but we're going to bring it down because we're not going to make that big a batch. A small white onion, but I use part of a red one for color. Okay. Now we're going to need a cup of, if that, is that burner free?
Yeah.
And Jane, I'll just ask you to stir this from time to time.
Okay.
Now for the vinegary based one, kids, I'm going to put in a cup of either white vinegar or apple cider vinegar in a saucepan. Is that one
The cup's at the
Is that the
top.
cup?
No.
for the very top?
Top, yeah.
There you go. So a cup of apple cider or white vinegar. We're going to put in a half a cup of water. Usually water to vinegar is 2 to 1. Okay. So since there was a cup of vinegar, it's not surprising there's half a cup of water.
So more vinegar than water.
I read somewhere that it's 2 to 1, typically. And so then when I saw this recipe, I wasn't surprised.
Yeah.
Okay, then we need 3/4 of a cup of sugar.
That looks good.
There you go, on the money. All right, now usually you'd use a dry one, but I went ahead and used that one because we just had it here. Right, Jane, if you would then get this to a boil on medium to high heat and stir it
Okay.
so it doesn't get burned or hurt in any way. In the meantime, go ahead and add some more, just a few more cucumbers to this one on the left that's going to have the creamy in it. And you know what? I think our friends probably would enjoy some of these too, Jane. That you're taking some food to.
Oh, okay, yeah. That would be good to put. even on a side with lasagna, right?
Or if they have sandwiches.
It's a little
A lot of people have a
salad.
sandwich
Yeah.
and might just want some cucumbers.
Could be good with the BLT, whatever.
You betcha. You betcha. You
I love
betcha.
summer food. It's so good.
It is.
I can make a meal out of tomatoes, cucumbers, and sweet corn.
Yum.
Mm. Just don't get them like that all the time.
I certainly don't. It's just a treat. Gotta be thankful for the little things, kids. Because in the end, the little things turn out to be the big things. That's out there somewhere, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's good advice. Alrighty.
So how long does this have to cook till? Just boils or?
Yep, just till it boils.
Okay.
Now, so while she's doing that, it's a little under 15 to 20 minutes, kids, but I'm going to go ahead for the purposes of our episode, just to teach you after 15 to 20 minutes has happened. Okay, now remember, this is our creamy one. I'm going to put a tablespoon of vinegar again, and 1/4 to 1/2 cup of sour cream. And that's a tablespoon, not a teaspoon, okay? I'm gonna mix it up. Now I went ahead and had Jane measure out 1/2 cup because we've got quite a bit there. And okay, then I'm just gonna pour it. Again, this is our creamy one. And Jane is working on getting our vinegary one to a boil. I'm gonna stir this up.
That looks yum. I would like that, I think, better than mayo. For some reason, I don't know.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I mean, after you have it on so many sandwich salads, it would get kind of tired. But you can see why the red onion, again, would just add a lot of color. But if that's not the flavor you choose, then that's okay. What are some other things we could add here for some color, kids? Jane?
Grated carrot? Yeah, tomatoes. Yeah, tomatoes would be
There are a lot of salads out there that have tomato, cucumber, and onion. So I was thinking also you could put red pepper in here.
Yeah.
Jane, since this is going with you, would you like some color in here? Red pepper or tomato?
Sure.
Which would you rather? Or both?
Tomato.
Probably the way to go. That's why I was thinking red pepper would stand up, you know, for sure.
Oh, that tomato, oh, it looks so good. It's weird that it's taken so long for this to boil.
Is it on medium-high heat?
Yeah, it's on pretty much high heat.
Well, you know, my tupid stove and oven is always so long.
Oh, is it?
It always burns slow.
Oh, I didn't know
It
that.
doesn't burn hot.
It's getting there.
But then it seems like all of a sudden it's just like comes on with a vengeance.
Yeah.
But yeah, kids, there are a lot of tomato, cucumber, onion salads out there
That
anyway.
looks very good. Yum.
But there's one more thing I want to do to it, and it'll be getting us ready for the end of this other one too. Again, kids, these are so much better chilled. Oh my aching back. The flavors really, really come together if they're chilled and refrigerate for at least an hour. But some people put them in for more than a day before they eat it.
Popular at family gatherings.
Now look at, see that color, how it just pops now?
Yes.
Okay, there's one more thing it needs. And you might want to add more sugar if you've got a little sweeter tooth. If you taste this, kids, and that sugar we put in, which was, in this particular one was just 2 tablespoons. If you want to put some more in, sprinkle it in and then stir it up. Okay, there's just one more thing I'm going to do. And I am going to clear off this mess, rinse it off.
Which do you prefer, Megan? The one with the sour cream?
I don't really like either one of them,
Oh, yeah.
but if I had to eat one of them, I'd probably like the creamy one better.
Yeah.
And I'm going to cut up some dill.
Oh, wow, look at that.
Fresh dill that we didn't have one other time we wanted it.
Yum. Yes, I like that. Did you find that at the grocery store? I probably smell it as she cuts it. I don't know.
Oh, I just love dill.
Mm-hmm.
Now, like Megan said, if I couldn't find it when we were on our way home today, she said, if you can't find it, you know, you've got dill in the cupboard, the dried dill that we bought at the store. But there's nothing, especially in these cucumber salads,
Yeah,
like
the fresh
the
stuff.
fresh dill.
I have a recipe for dill bread, and it's got cottage cheese in it. Mom used to make it all the time. Very good.
Yum.
Yeah.
I like sprinkling dill on like cold chicken sandwiches. That's
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yum.
Yeah.
Now again, there's plenty of cream in here, so you might want to add a little more sugar and some more cucumber.
It's boiling. You want me to turn it off then?
Yep. Okay, now I'm going to take some of this dill.
Yum.
And then if you did pepper it, a lot of people suggest white pepper. Okay, instead of the dark pepper or black pepper.
What's the difference in flavor there?
I don't know if there's a difference, just that it wouldn't be dark.
Oh, I see.
I think it's a little less strong too.
Okay.
That's
love
what I've
black
heard
pepper.
is that white pepper doesn't have as strong of a kick as dark pepper.
Dark pepper.
So again, this
yeah.
you can eat right away, but it's suggested you chill. And of
Black
course,
pepper is good though.
marinated.
Lowers your blood pressure. So that's good.
yeah, because you're gonna, it marinates, as Megan said. This stuff marinates.
Mm-hmm.
If you eat it right away, it's just not, it's gonna be as good. Okay, then I'm gonna take this, or Jane, if you'd like to, you can pour it right over that.
Okay, all of it?
Well, I don't know if we made as much. I'll put some more cucumber in. And then we can justify more. Because like I said, this particular recipe had 4 cucumbers, but we don't know how big they were either.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't take the time to peel it like I did the other pretty ones, kids, but again, doesn't take long, and I really suggest you do it because when you peel it like we did, it's so pretty.
It's fun to have a mix too. Now you have some are peeled and some that aren't.
Mm-hmm. But I like the looks of the ones that are.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're neat.
I know Mom sometimes if she's doing like a serving tray with dip or something like you were talking about, she'll do some peeled completely, some stripes, and some not peeled. So there's like all of them
Okay,
on there.
Yep.
It makes it interesting.
Almost looks like a different, like there's 3 different ones on
Yeah.
there.
Your mom just loves to cook too, doesn't
Mhm.
she? Yeah.
She's an excellent cook.
Yeah. Does she watch stuff a lot, like Food Network?
Oh yeah.
and stuff?
When I was a kid growing up, I practically lived off of Food Network because that's what she had on constantly. I don't
That's
think
funny.
she does as much anymore, but yeah, she
Yeah.
used to watch it all the time.
Okay, I'm gonna put this in
You
and
learn
then,
a ton from it.
Well, that's probably why I know so much about cooking because I watched it as a
Okay,
kid
go
and
ahead and
soaked
pour
it
it
all
over.
up.
Yeah. It's in your head.
go ahead and put it
Oh,
in there.
okay.
You betcha.
Alright.
And again, kids, I'm gonna then stir in the dill in this one. And you certainly can stir it in the other one. So Jane, I'm gonna give you this spoon to stir that one around. I think you're gonna feel a little dill on the handle. So now, kids, we've done cucumber. Again, one place I read says English cucumbers have the most flavor, but we're using farmers market cucumbers from the area here from our local farmers and growers.
They're really nice because there's hardly any seeds. I love them.
We added some tomato to this one, which a lot of salads already call for that, to give it some color. This one's our creamy one with sour cream and vinegar. Then, of course, we put some dill in it to stir in, and you might want to garnish it then with dill after it's marinated. That's what I would do anyway, garnish it with some more dill on top. Mm-hmm. This one we did onions, and we showed you how you can make them prettier and fancier by peeling, like every 1/4 of an inch, peel some of that cucumber off. Okay, so then when you slice it, they almost look like little poker chips. They're a lot fancier looking and a lot prettier, especially if you make like an appetizer tray with vegetables and dip. This one has our vinegar. It has not only a cup of vinegar, white vinegar. This time I used apple cider vinegar instead of white, but you can use white vinegar. 1/2 cup of water. Again, it's usually 2 to 1, 2 vinegar to 1 water, and 3/4 cup of sugar. And Jane has now showed you what they look like, how they look, differently they look. We've put in our fresh cut dill in both of these. You now would cover these, put them in your refrigerator for at least an hour, but several hours is best so you can really have that marination permeate the onion and the cucumbers, and in this case the tomatoes as well. Okay? So you really can't do it wrong. You could have put tomatoes in here too. In this one you might want to add some red pepper just to have a little brighter red instead of the purpley from the red onion, okay? Whatever you want, sky's the limit. Okay, you might want to put some pepper flakes in there or something like that for some color. But at any rate, cover them up with some saran and put them in the fridge and let them chill. So that's basically it. Jane has now finished the corn on the cob for you. We've now made you 2 options for a cucumber salad, creamy and vinegar. And that will conclude this episode of our 3rd episode of Farmer's Market. Jane, what would you say signing off?
I'd like to say that I think you guys are the greatest kids in the world. And everything you do is impressive. And always remember that you are special in our eyes. And be good. And love you. Yeah.
Just don't be afraid to be you. People are always impressed with kids that just show their sincere self and don't try to put on airs. Just be yourself, and it's enough, kids. You're the only being in this universe that's just like you. There's a reason for that. You're supposed to be just like you. Okay? So until next time, we hope to see you on Now We're Cooking.